Welcome to our podcast, diving into the tension where Trump's warning about the US abandoning NATO is stirring up real concerns. And yeah, NATO is actually making plans for that eventuality.
I'm all in on this discussion. Trump's threat, as some say, is not just bluster, but something shaking the foundation of strategic alliances.
Exactly. It's a scenario that's steering international relations into seriously uncharted waters. Ministers behind the scenes in at least three governments are actively planning for this contingency.
And that planning, as reported by the Times' Oliver Moody, isn't a casual, oh, what if exercise. It's reached a level of earnestness you might not expect, right?
Yep, absolutely. It basically spells out how do we make NATO function without our American backbone, which makes you pause and reflect, you know?
Right. And isn't it interesting how, even amidst all these headlines, the idea that the US could pull out is seen as a real possibility? It's almost like an existential question for NATO.
Absolutely. It's like a high stakes chess game. Trump's threat, whether it's a political maneuver or a serious intent, has caused ripple effects now. This isn't just hypothetical. Governments are actually pondering what's next.
And while we're on that thought, NATO has been historically seen as the bedrock of transatlantic security. Imagine trying to rebuild that house without one of its main supports.
Exactly. It's like trying to drive a car missing the engine. Without the US, the dynamics really shift.
That's a powerful analogy. But here's a question. Don't you think this might be a bit of an overreaction? Political rhetoric often comes with threats, but planning for it on such a scale seems almost, extreme.
That's a fair challenge. However, the fact that at least three governments are quietly but seriously gearing up for the scenario suggests this isn't mere exaggeration. It shows a level of strategic foresight that's hard to ignore.
Yeah, true. But then you wonder if it's about preparing to safeguard interests or perhaps putting pressure on the US to keep its commitment to NATO.
Right, it might be a bit of both. It's as if they're saying, we're ready for every contingency, and no matter what, our defense commitments remain intact. And that, in itself, is a strong signal to the Americans.
Absolutely. And let's not forget that if the US were to really abandon NATO, it wouldn't just be a political statement. It'd have serious military ramifications globally.
Spot on. The ripple effects could be immense. It's like a domino effect, where the strategic imbalance could encourage adversaries and destabilize the region even further.
And then there's the broader narrative. Trump's repeated threats, regardless of their political intent, seem to resonate deeply in geopolitical strategy circles. Could this be a flashpoint for redefining alliances?
For sure. It's a wake-up call that alliances are not static. They respond to leadership actions and geopolitical realities. And here, NATO is shown to be adaptable and willing to plan for the worst-case scenario.
Yeah. But isn't this adaptability something that has served NATO well in the past? Their ability to transform in the face of challenges has been a hallmark of the alliance, hasn't it?
Yes, indeed. NATO has historically evolved from its Cold War roots. And now, with these new pressures, it's pushing them to rethink operational strategies, like how do you operate without the backbone of US military might?
It's almost like, planning for a contingency in a high-stakes adventure movie where the hero suddenly vanishes and the supporting cast needs to step up.
Perfect analogy. It's like an ensemble cast suddenly having to adapt on the fly. And this situation is far from a script. It's real politics with real consequences.
And considering these developments, how do you see this affecting the transatlantic security landscape in the near future?
Good question. There could be short-term instability as countries reassess their defense strategies. It might lead to, increased defense spending or even a restructuring of how collaborative military exercises are conducted.
That makes sense. And I also wonder about the economic and political costs. Does this strategic pivot risk alienating members or even embolden adversaries?
Absolutely. And that's where the stakes really get high. The economic burdens and political friction could ripple out, impacting global trade, security pacts, and the overall trust in the alliance's cohesion.
Right. It's a tough balancing act. On one hand, you have a powerful alliance that has delivered peace for decades. On the other, you risk being left in a vulnerable spot without a key player.
Exactly, it's like walking a tightrope. And I think NATO's move to make contingency plans also sends a message internally. They're uniting to, be self reliant if needed.
And that message, while reassuring to some, might also be quite concerning to others who see it as a sign that the transatlantic bond is under serious stress.
True, true. It's a complex signal. It's saying we're capable, but we're also preparing for the worst case scenario. It forces everyone to take a hard look at what commitments really mean in international relations.
Yeah. I remember reading that aside from political implications, this topic also touches on military strategy. Like, what are the proper responses if indeed the US decides to step back?
Yes, and it opens up debates about logistics and coordination. How do you realign command structures and integrate new defense strategies seamlessly? That's a real challenge here.
And then you gotta wonder if these plans might inadvertently serve as a deterrent. I mean, could this thorough planning actually discourage any such withdrawal in the first place?
Good point. The mere fact that these plans are in the works may well act as a deterrent. It's like saying, should you ever abandon us, be ready for the repercussions. There's a kind of psychological warfare behind this.
Absolutely. Yet, one could also argue that overemphasizing a potential US departure might create an atmosphere of mistrust among allies. Don't you think that could undermine cooperation in the long run?
I see your point. It's a delicate balance. Overplanning might indeed sow seeds of doubt. However, strategic preparedness, in my view, is necessary to ensure that if such a drastic change occurs, NATO remains functional.
Yeah. It's like preparing for a storm, even if the weather forecast isn't dire. Better to be safe than sorry, though I understand the caution that too much emphasis on contingency scenarios might lead to a negative self-fulfilling prophecy.
Exactly, it's a double-edged sword. On one hand, you boost resilience, and on the other, you risk fostering an atmosphere of paranoia and overreaction among member states.
And in the backdrop of all this, we also see related discussions on social media and news outlets, which try to balance the political narrative with a military perspective. It really paints a picture of a multifaceted issue.
Absolutely. Whether you're looking at it from the geopolitical, military, or economic angle, this issue is a storm gathering on the horizon. And it all started with serious considerations over Trump's declarations, which have now, spiraled into strategic planning at the highest levels.
Right. So, as we look forward, it'll be interesting to see whether or not these plans only remain on paper, or if they manifest in tangible shifts in NATO's operations. The conversation is far from over.
Definitely. It's an evolving narrative with high stakes. And while we hope it never comes to the worst case scenario, being prepared might be the strongest message NATO can send to its allies and to its potential adversaries.
Yep. And that, folks, encapsulates the dynamic and complex interplay between politics and military strategy in today's world.
Absolutely. Thanks for tuning in as we unpack this layered topic. Stay curious and keep questioning the narratives behind our global alliances.